For over a century, the apparel industry has relied on a very specific foundation, sketching out hand-drawn illustrations and cutting flat, two-dimensional patterns. But translating those flat sketches into real clothing is expensive. Iterating physical prototypes requires cutting fabric, stitching it together, spotting the flaws, and throwing it in the bin to start over, costing massive amounts of time and material. To bypass that bottleneck, modern studios are shifting to three-dimensional digital prototyping pipelines. The gap between a simple 2D sketch and a finalized physical garment is the single biggest point of friction in apparel design today. Sakshi Dhingra, an MSc fashion designing student, already had a strong foundation in those traditional illustration and pattern-making techniques. However, her academic syllabus had a significant blind spot. It offered zero training in 3D digital design. To solve this, she took the initiative and independently enrolled in an 8-hour specialized software course covering CLO3D. For a designer entering the industry, this kind of self-guided initiative is how they close the gap between academic training and modern technical requirements. The core logic of digital fashion software relies on taking a flat 2D pattern block and mapping it directly onto a virtual 3D avatar. We see this in action through Sakshi's workflow, modifying a t-shirt into a dress. Looking at the central grid, you see the flat blue pattern pieces. Manipulating lines on this 2D pattern instantly updates the geometry of the 3D dress on the left. This immediate, real-time feedback loop eliminates the weeks it would normally take to physically measure, cut, and pin fabric adjustments. The software accelerates workflows using digital asset libraries. On the left, we see pattern components pulled from CLO3D Connect. Moving right, importing pre-existing assets, like the pants, shirt, and bag, allows designers to establish a base outfit without building every stitch from scratch. The program also simulates real-world physics. Looking at the front pockets, the software calculates variables like drape and thickness, so the material hangs naturally. Checking the back view, a multicolored polka dot print is seamlessly aligned across different panels of the simulated fabric. Instead of simply applying textures, the software calculates how a specific fabric will interact with light and gravity. As a designer progresses, they move from single-layer garments to engineering complex, multi-piece outfits like tailored menswear. Here we see the specific structural challenge of digital layering. Moving from the white base structure to adding the dark vest, the designer has to ensure the individual 3D meshes of the shirt, the vest, and the trousers do not clip through one another. Digital tension also has to be managed when applying dense fabric manipulations. In this completed dress, the heavy ruffles around the hem require careful adjustment so the simulated material behaves realistically. Mastering structural interactions proves that 3D simulation works for high-end architectural fashion, far beyond basic mock-ups. A technically perfect 3D model still has to be presented beautifully to clients and buyers to actually sell the design. This requires precise rendering techniques. The green plane on the left shows the environmental parameters Sakshi mastered to control the direction, color, and intensity of digital light sources. By comparison, the right side reveals the realistic final output. These high-fidelity renders serve as a functional substitute for physical samples, allowing stakeholders to approve designs before a single yard of fabric is ever cut. Sakshi pushed her own development even further, going beyond the standard curriculum to self-learn real-time dynamic simulation techniques through YouTube tutorials. The learning outcomes listed here summarize a completely new skill stack, successfully bridging the gap between 2D logic and 3D execution. Her technical journey concluded with this official certification in digital fashion design. By mastering the 3D pipeline, Sakshi has modernized her approach to apparel design, aligning her workflow with the speed and precision of the current industry.